Hello and welcome to another episode of Tesseract Talks, the place where we put the spotlight on tech trends, startups, and VCs. I'm your host, Marko, the founder and CEO of Tesseract Analytics, and it is my pleasure today to have Ana Robakidze as our guest, the founder at Theneo, next-gen API documentation with AI brilliance. Ana, welcome. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. Very excited to talk to your audience and to you today.
I was actually surprised. I know usually you live on the West Coast, but today you're in the same city as I am in London. We could have done this in person, but it's fine. We're doing this online.
Maybe.
Obviously, you're here because of API Days here in London, but we'll get to that in a minute. So why don't we start first by you briefly introducing yourself to the audience? What led you to become an entrepreneur and found a Theneo?
So my background is in engineering. So I used to be an engineer before all of this. Eventually, I became head of engineering and I was working on lots of APIs. So I created Theneo because out of necessity, I was trying to solve a problem that I had. And it was during pandemic. There was not really a lot to do. So I accidentally became an entrepreneur. It was not something that was planned. So yeah, that's kind of like has been my journey. This was 4 years ago. Definitely being an entrepreneur is a roller coaster. We can talk about that later. But yeah, basically accidentally become an entrepreneur.
And you were always in engineering, like the passion for developing. That was
Yeah. I've been coding since I was 13.
wow.
So I'm originally from country of Georgia, and there is not really a lot of resources, especially back then, for coding, etc. I don't even know how I got started, but I loved. My dad had a computer, so I didn't really like talking to people. So I got into computers. I loved it so much. I loved the problem solving and with code, like seeing that result. That was so exciting for me. I had no idea what engineering actually entailed, but I knew that that's something that I wanted to do for rest of my life. So then I went to States with my computer science degree, did engineering, was working with lots of APIs, and then decided I can actually solve the issue with the API documentation. And then that's how Theneo got started.
Okay, that's great. So for listeners new to Theneo, what problem are you solving and how does your solution stand out?
So basically, if you ask any engineer, we do not like writing documentation. We do not want to write a single word. But I saw the impact that API documentations and good quality API documentation, like Stripe's documentation, had on API adoption. So especially with my team when I was head of engineering, I wanted my team to have that good quality API documentation. It was taking so much time and we didn't always have that resources. So this was before ChatGPT era. We decided to create our own language model that you would put your API and it would output the entire documentation for you. So that's how we got started, that we were solving that problem of just generating the documentation. We are not using our own language model anymore because afterward ChatGPT came out. It was actually way better than, of course, us. It cannot really compete with OpenAI. But we realized that it's not just one problem of just generating the documentation, but how we are working on the entire process, how your engineers are interacting with APIs, your documentation, the user experience, and all these things. So our product evolved over the years. So we covered a lot of different use cases. And just recently, we also launched a new tool called Cursor for your APIs. So basically, that takes care of API design, working on your API spec. You can ask AI to change your API spec or go through API insights. How well is your API designed properly? Is your API even AI ready, right? Especially nowadays, having your APIs AI ready is very important. And lastly, generating an MCP. So we started with just documentation, and now we are covering so many different use cases. Just basically, that's very typical with any type of product that evolves over the year. We try to listen to our customers. We also try to listen how the industry is evolving. And AI space, especially every day, you are seeing so much innovation. We try to be part of the innovation or actually lead some of the conversations as well.
Okay, very interesting. And I know you're backed by a couple of big kind of names in the industry, Y Combinator, Atlassian, and Mercury. How has that support shaped Teneo's journey so far?
I get this question asked, especially for Y Combinator by other founders, if it's worth it, especially for first time founders, 100% it's worth it. Because first, I would say when it says backed by Y Combinator, it creates so much trust by other enterprise customers. Second is when you are in Y Combinator, we have this internal platform where you can launch your product. So when you're launching inside YC, you have so many other companies and especially, really famous companies that will look at your launch. They will reach out to you. Some of them will want to invest and some of them will try out your product and give very honest feedback. So having that, like the first customers and first real kind of feedback is much, much easier in that YC community. Also, they help you with like product hunt launch, hacker news launch, and all these things that they definitely help you with that growth. With also companies like Atlassian is one of our investor who has been just beyond just investor, right? That strategic partnership that we have built with them. And just in general, with any type of investors, what I recommend to founders is do look beyond just the monetary value that you kind of get from them, right? And YC and Atlassian definitely, and other investors like Mary's Capital and Diaspora Ventures have been so helpful for us. And a fun fact, actually, one of the investors that have reached out to us early days was OpenAI. It was before ChatGPT era, and again, we obviously knew about OpenAI, but we were not as enthusiastic about it. And we were like, when we had call, and it was actually with COO of OpenAI that time. And we were like, yeah, like we're not sure.
What year was this?
This was early 2022. So again, like before ChatGPT era, of course, everyone in AI space knew them, but it was not as exciting, I guess. So one of my regrets is not taking that call that seriously. But yeah, you always have that, that story. And I'm glad that we at least had to experience and had that talk with the team from OpenAI. It was a great conversation either way. So yeah, I highly recommend YC, highly recommend any investors that can bring additional value, not just money.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really great because you can test the products kind of internally, but you also get that recognition externally for potential clients. So yeah, it's I can only see the upsides. But you can tell me what have been some of the challenges or like the biggest challenge in building the company so far? What lessons stand out from the journey?
There are so many challenges. I had a recently friend of mine reaching out and saying that he wants to start his own startup. And my answer was, do not do it. Love yourself and do not do it, because in one way it's so addicting, right? Because highs, like wins are so high, or like when you win something, when you close the deal, when it's like even when you get positive feedback, all these things, it just feels great. But also the losses feel so bad, right? It's a roller
Very
coaster.
personal, I guess.
Yeah, it's very personal and it's a roller coaster. And that's the thing that I like. The challenges in terms of the losses. It's not just, for example, you lost a deal that you were working really hard on, or it can be, for example, an employee left that you put a lot of effort into raising that employee. Or like, let's say they started off from internship, etc. There are just so many aspects of that. Or like you spend a lot of time with an investor and they didn't invest, right? There are a lot of different aspects to all of this. And what I have realized over the years is if you have like that, like you lost a deal or like someone left and all these things, you do not look as like this is your loss as a person, like meaning you failed as a person. Like you look at it, okay, this is just another day. I'm going to get up and tomorrow I'm going to do better. What can I learn from this experience? But I will not let it impact me and I will not let it put me down. I'll just learn from it. And next day I will try not to make the same things. I'll be better. And that's the only way to kind of survive the entrepreneurship journey, is to just look forward for the positivity and next steps and whatever the loss. No startup ever has that straightforward, amazing journey. It's always a roller coaster. So you're not the only one that has losses. You're not the only one that has lost the deal, all these things. It happens to every company.
I love that. And tell me, how do you see the API and documentation space evolving in the next years, and where does Tano fit in that future?
So just in general, if you look at API space, it's definitely been booming, right? Because if you look at last year's data, I think it was over 70% of web traffic was through APIs. Now, especially in agentic world, APIs are becoming even more important, even though I think it was always important, but there is even more kind of interest into different API tools. So definitely, I think that we'll definitely see even more tools that will be coming up. For example, something that I didn't expect would be this new boom about MCP servers, right? Now, everyone is talking about MCPs. And even for the documentation platforms, the way that we were looking before were about how we can improve developer experience. But now we're also asking ourselves, how can we improve agentic experience? How do we make sure that agents can crawl these APIs, they access it properly, read the things properly, and all these things? These were not the questions that we were asking ourselves 2 years ago. So it's definitely interesting how things are moving. And I cannot say I can predict all the things that are going on with AI. Like, again, I didn't expect MCP servers to be a thing this year. But either way, it's becoming two-way thing. We are looking at developer experience. We are looking at agentic experience. And I think we'll be investing even more time and resources into making sure that all these agents are able to access APIs properly. And APIs are designed way better than they've been before.
Okay, and maybe tell us what you can share for this year, for 2025. What's next for Tano? I know the reason why you're here in London, but maybe share with everyone.
Yes. So we are at one of our favorite conferences at API Days in London. We're actually talking about how we have built this cursor for APIs. We have built this basically in-browser RAG pipeline without actually any server databases, which was quite a complex task. So that's what we're going to be sharing with the audience tomorrow. But other than that, for us, we are going to be rolling out a couple of new additional tools. Our goal is to make sure that we allow engineers to concentrate on building the APIs, and we want to automate the entire workflow they have. Also, something that we have realized is that it's not just engineers now that are interacting and working on APIs. Product people are getting involved. Sometimes even sales people are getting involved. So we want them to be included in those tooling systems as well. So we want to have that more diverse platform. And so you will definitely see new products that will be rolling out. So anyone that is interested, just look us up on LinkedIn or Twitter, any platforms, and feel free to follow our journey.
Do you have any particular advice for other SaaS or dev tool founders just starting out now, besides the don't take it personal?
My recommendation before doing anything, I would say, is choose something that is solving the problem that you have. Because I would say I was able to survive all of this is because I was really, really, and still am very passionate about this space. People actually were making fun of me even before I started Theneo of how much I would be talking about APIs and API documentation. Really, it was like, I know this is the most, I don't know, like not really exciting topic for others, but it would be for me, right? But that's why it was much easier for me to kind of fight that fight because I'm excited about this space. So if you're doing something that you are not interested in, this journey can be quite difficult. So my recommendation is choose something that you're actually passionate about and you have a problem with. So as an engineer, you know that you can solve the problem. The second thing, obviously, do not like let failures or any type of failing impact you anyway. Just get up and start a new day and look at it in a positive way. And the third thing would be to launch as soon as possible. That's something that we hear in Y Combinator all the time. Do not wait for a perfect time that, oh, I'm going to have everything perfect and then I'm going to launch. No, launch right away and then start getting feedback. Talk to people, talk to your potential customers, and you will be able to get way more information on what you need to build and your kind of pipeline and roadmap after your launch and after you talk to your clients.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for coming to the show and sharing these valuable insights. That was all for today. I am looking forward to following how Theneo will grow and hope to see you again on another episode of Tesseract Talks in the future.
Would love
So,
to.
yeah,
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely chatting with you.
great. Thank you. Bye, Anna.
Bye.